Hello everyone. Have a nice day. Today we'll be continuing our discussion on swine production and management, particularly on balancing ration. All right. There are some steps and consideration in balancing ration, and it is very important to feed our animals with a balanced diet based on the nutrients that needs to be balanced based on the requirements as per body requirements, age requirements, or production requirement. Okay, so we are trying to balance the nutrients, no? Be it protein, be it the fats, and be it, no? There's a need to balance the nutrients. Okay, today we will be balancing our diet for animals using the Pearson square method of balancing, but there are some different ways by which we can balance our diet for our animals. So one of that is of course the Pearson method, and the other one we can have trial and error method, and we could also have a linear programming method. And also nowadays at present, so there are some different apps and or software applications that balance our nutrients. No? Anyway, so I have to give you discussion separately on that different methods of compounding or computing and balancing nutrients for our animals. But for today's discussions, let us focus only on the Pearson square method of balancing diets for our animals. So let me pull out my presentation. Okay, sorry. So yeah, so there you have it. Okay, slide siya natin. Okay, this is our so Pearson square method of balancing equation, of course, by Dr. Rodi M. Kamay. Okay, so Pearson square method. So meron pang pa-effect dyan. Anyway, so as a sort of critical thinking, so we'll be discussing the concept, and later on, so we give you, let us give you a sample problem. So applying the Pearson square concept. So the Pearson square method is a useful tool for simplifying and balancing rations. No? When we say ration, we're talking about a diet enough for one meal, no, in a day. Okay, so a tool for simplifying and balancing rations. Okay, it shows the proportions. So with the Pearson square, it shows the proportion or percentages of two feeds to be mixed together to give a percentage of the needed nutrients. One of the downsides, now one of the disadvantages of using the Pearson squares, it uses only the two sources of feeds, no? Kung mogamit na siya daghan, so kailangan pa ang daghan mga feeds mo sang i-group into two para mahimo siyang duha na lang ka source, no? But anyway, siguro ito na-emphasize later on. But the thing is, ang magamit kining Pearson square, magamit lang nimo siya kung duha lang ka source of feeds, no? Ang atong i-mix. Okay? And in balancing equation, by the way, no? So particularly in swine, pigs, we focused on balancing on the protein, no? Crude protein ang usually nga i-balance, or the crude protein, no? Ang nga na ba ang spelling sa protein? So tingnan natin later on. So ang usually gitanaw nga i-balance is crude protein, no, in terms of percent crude protein. But we can also balance the different sources of nutrients, such as we can balance the fat using a Pearson square, pwede. And we can balance also different minerals, calcium, magnesium, no? For as long as we knew and we know the required amount to be given to our animals, and also dapat alam din natin ang percent content ng mga protein diha sa feeds nga atong ihatag sa animals. For example, yung tahop, pila day ang percent ng tahop, pila day ang crude protein nga nasa tahop, no? Pila day ang calcium nga nasa tahop, pila day ang fats nga nasa tahop in terms of percent. So we can balance, no, different nutrients using the Pearson square for as long as the sources is 2, no? And dapat nahibalo pud ta pila ang required na mga nutrients nga para nga atong i-produce ang feeds na, okay? So okay, so next is so the Pearson square, for example, no, ayun, okay, for example, the Pearson square, ato 2,000 kilogram of feed is needed to feed 100 heads of growing hog. So for example, magbuhat ka og feeds, no? A feeding standard table shows that 18% crude protein ration is needed. So for example, magbuhat daw ta og pagkaon sa baboy nga 200 kilos ang ihang total nga weight sa atong pagkaon nga atong buhaton. Nya ilawg na siya sa 100 ka buok nga baboy. Nya dapat kana daw atong ma-mix nga 200 kilogram naa siya crude protein dayon later on na 18%, no? Example lang na siya. Then ato dong sagulon is ang mag-isagula to ang corn and soybean meal. So soybean meal katong liso sa soybean nga gidugmok, no? So are selected as feeds, no? So magmix ta og 200 kilos nga mixtures of corn and soybean meal nga 2,000 kilogram nga naay 18% crude protein. So ang atong required protein daw is 18%. But what is the protein content ng soybean meal, no? And corn. Okay, ang sinabi dito, the corn has ang nutrient composition ng corn has 8.9%. Okay? Og ang soybean meal na siya ay 44 crude protein content. So atong sagulon ning duha nga ang resulta nilang pagsagol is naa siya 18% na crude protein, yang ilang gidaghanon is 2,000 kilogram in bulk, no? Kana siya ang gisulti ganina. Okay, klaro, no? Okay. How much corn and how much soybean meal need to be mixed together in order to produce a total of 200 kilogram of a batch or a total mixture with 18% CP, no? Inga na karon ang atong problema. Okay. So again, balik ko na ko. So magmix ta og 200 kilos nga mixture ng corn na mayroong 8.9% CP and soybean meal na mayroong 44.4% na CP. Atos lang i-mix nga dapat ang resulta sa ilang pagmix is 18% crude protein ang resulta, no? So balance. But another thing is that ang usa ka consideration sa paggamit sa Pearson square para pagbalance sa ration or diet to our animal is that dapat ang isa ka source taas ang iyahang crude protein kumpara sa required crude protein. Nya ang isa pud ka source dapat baba ang iyang crude protein content kumpara sa required protein. Sama sa itong example nga ito lang hisgutan, ang required crude protein daw is 18%. So itong gamit is corn which is 8.9 baba sa 18, no? Unya ang isang to gamit is soybean is which is 44.4% ang crude protein which is taas sa 18%. So mean to say ang requirement ng nutrient, it should be in between sa duha ka CP sa duha ka material nga tong gamiton. So yan siya klaro, no? But before that, let me give you a backgrounder muna sa about nutrients. when we say nutrients, sa labi sa swine, we're talking about yung mga nutrients is protein is an example of nutrients, no? Fats is an example of nutrients, and even the water is a nutrients in itself. And yung mga minerals such as calcium, magnesium, nakasama yan sa nutrients. Again, so nutrients, we'll be talking about protein. Ang protein, daghan na klase. We have amino acids. Then, fats kasama. Vitamins kasama. Minerals, calcium, magnesium, no? Phosphorus, ano yan, iba pa dyan. Kasama yan. And water. So, marami pa, no? Example of nutrients. But particular example will be focused first on the, Pearson square. Okay, so given the situation kanina that we have to produce a feeds with 200 kilogram batch total weight with 18% crude protein, no? So ang the first steps using the Pearson square is first we have to draw 1 to 2 inch square. So mag-drawing tawag square. Then place a diagonal lines across the square. So nga siya sa Pearson square no mo ang method. Mag-drawing kag square. So bada-badaon din mong 1 to 2 square inch, but anyway it doesn't matter for as long as we have to draw a square. Okay, then draw a diagonal line in between. Yeah, draw ka diagonal line. Alright, yan ang first step. Then the next step is write the percentage crude protein needed by the animal in the center of the square where the diagonal lines crosses, no? So sa atong problem ganina, so inyo ma-recall, ang required nga protein ato is 18, no? So we have to put 18% which is required protein daw dito sa ato nga. Yan ang sinabi, no? So write the percentage of crude protein needed by the animals in the center of the square where the diagonal lines meet or cross. So diha man sila nag-intersect. So diha ito ibutang ang recipe. Okay? So, yan. Nilagay niya yung 18 dyan. So, yun. The next step, number 3 is write the feeds to be used at its corner. So, ang feed nitong gamiton is corn and soybean meal. Sa soybean, kailangan mo soybean, no? Place the percent of the crude protein in the feeds after the name of the feeds. So, isulat ang feeds, then isulat po dayon ang percent. Such as, for example, corn. Dayon, butangan og 8.9. Sa ubos, okay, butangan og soybean meal, niya 44.4%. So, yung na. So, kaya nung obserbahan, ang CP ng corn, baba sa 18, ang CP ng soybean meal is taas sa protein. Meaning to say, dapat ang required proteins in between sa protein or sa nutrient content ng mga required to be mixed na mga feed ingredients. So, tingnan po natin ha. So, isulat daw sa kilid. So, yung isa sa taas, ang isa sa ubos. Mga sa itong gamitan. The next one is, number 4, subtract the smaller of the numbers from the larger numbers. So, for example, 18 minusan sa 8.9 or kaya 14.4 minusan sa 18. So, subtract the number of the numbers from the larger numbers. So, katulad nito, okay, ang 18.9 minusan og 8.9, okay, and ang 44 minusan og 18, nga na ang pasabot. Okay, so this involves crude protein needed by the animals and that provided by the feed. Write the difference in the opposite corners. Katulad nito, okay, 18, so 18 minus 8.9, so 18 minus 18 equals 9.1. So ganito, no? So ang difference ng duha isulat sa ubos, okay? Okay, 18 minus 8.9 it should be 9.1. And 44.4 minus 18 it should be 26.4, no? Pag minus. So, okay, minus na sila. Diagonal ang pag minus. Okay? So, nakuha. Hinaut nga nakuha, no? So, kana siya. So, nakasubay. So, step number 5. The numbers at the two right corners are parts of the two feed ingredients that are needed, no? So, balik ta. So, pag 44.4 minus 18 equals 26.4, kalang 26.4, although sa soybean na siya, o sa required gi-minus, that is part of the corn in a mixture later on. So, 26 parts, no? Anya, kini pong 18 minus 8.9, corn minus required 9.1, mauna ang parts of soybean meal nga atong i-mix later on. So, meaning to say, kung mag-mix ka, na ay 26.4 parts of corn and na po 9.1% parts of the soybean meal. Pero, kung imo siyang express in terms of parts, medyo mahirap siya. Mas dali siya sabton kung i-express into in percent. How many percent is the corn in the total mixture? Pila ang corn sa ato ang 2,000 kilogram, no? Pila pod ang soybean meal sa atong 2,000 kilogram. Kay 2,000 kilogram man to ang gipaingon sa to ang atong i-mix, no? Kung hinumduman ninyo ganina. Nga gisulat dito sa previous slides. Okay? So, kingan ha. So, timan eh. Now, the numbers at the two right corners are parts of the two feeds ingredients that are needed, no? So, sama atong ingon, 26.4 parts is for corn and 9.1 parts is for soybean meal. Of course, mga proportion yan, but the total of that, so ang total parts is 35.5 in total kung sila ng dua, no? So, don't be confused with that. Klaro? Now, ato din ang mas maayo nga atong i-express siya in percent kaysa parts, kano? Kay libog mo ng parts, no? Okay. So, yeah, in total is 1. And now, okay. Kaya lisod mo ng parts. So, ato siyang i-express in percent. Ang 26.4 parts, pili na ka percent sa total. Alam natin na ang total is 35. So, we have to express that. 26.4 parts of corn divided by the total, no? Total parts, katong 35 plus 9.2 is total. Okay? Percent na ang resulta na. Ganun din, ang total for soybean meal, ato pa express in percent of the total. So, now, the percentage of each feed needed in the ration can be found by dividing by the number of parts, yes, number of parts of its ingredients, by the total parts, which is 35. Then multiply by 100, because percent is 100, so that it will be expressed in 100. Such as, for example, no, ito. So, dito. Okay. So, this one should express in part. It should be 26.4 parts of corn divided by 35.5 total parts times 100. That would be equal to the percent proportion of corn in a mixture of 2,000 kilograms ng atong gisulti ganina. Gingon sa kong ganina, no? So, ganoon din, ang parts ng soybean, ganoon din, no? So, 9.1 parts ng soybean divided na by 35.5 na total parts, then times 100, that is 25. So, this is now the proportion or the total parts. So, ibig sabihin, sa katong 2,000 kilos nga ato ang i-produce na total mixture, 74% ato is corn. Ang 25.6% ato is soybean meal. But in terms of 100, kung 100 kilograms lang ang atong i-mix, sa nagklaro nga sa 100 kilogram nga mixture, naa kay 74.4 kilograms sa corn nga timbang, imong isagulan sa 25.6 kilogram sa soybean meal kung 100 kilos ang atong i-produce. Pero sa atong example, sa atong problem ganina, ang ipangutana is 2,000 kilogram. So, sa ato pa, pila ka kilo ana ang corn sa 2,000 kilogram. So, ato lang i-times siya sa 0.74%. Kay 0.74, kay 74% naman ang corn ana. Nya, pila ato ang soybean meal is, katong 2,000, i-times na po nato sa 0.25, kay 25% naman ang soybean meal. Ato, no? Sa iyahang, I don't know kung nakuha ninyo. So, I hope nga inyong nasabta, no? Okay. This for corn, and this is for soybean. Now, ganito, no? So, gisulat og utro. So, yan. So, 74% ang sa corn sa total part na mixtures na 2,000 later on, no? Atong tanahon. Pero kung 100 lang, lain po, no? So, Step number 7, the amount of its feed ingredients for a large batch, no? Ang large batch nga itong giingon gini sa itong problem is 2,000 man daw to, no? So the amount of its feed ingredients, pila ang corn, pila ang soybean meal, the amount of its feed ingredients for a large batch of feed is determined by multiplying the percentage. So itong i-multiply ang percentage of its by the total amount of feed desired. Ng total amount or among batch is 2,000 kilograms. So itong giingon ganina sa problem. So our batch feed is of course 2,000 kilogram, no? Actually, this 2 tons, dili 1 ton, no? 2,000 kilogram. And then, sa ito pa ang corn is kay 74.4%. Atong i-times, no? So, only 0.7 in terms of proportion. So, naada tayo magtimbang tag 1,488 kilogram na corn. Atong sagulan sa, so, ang ato ading soybean meal, ang atong soybean meal kay 25.6% naman. Atong sagulan sa 512 kg ng soybean meal. So, ang total na, of course, 2,000, no? 2,000 kg ang total sa ilang mixture. Kunya, ang resulting CP ana nila, okay, is 18%. Kaya maman to itong ibutang sa tunga sa Pearson square ganina. So, ana nga case, ato nang na meat, no, na meat na to ang required protein para sa atong mga baboy sa 100 heads nga baboy. So kay imong hinumduman ang problem kaniya nag-ingon, so magmix ta og 2,000 kg nga feeds atong ibahog sa 100 kilograms ng baboy. So walay bearing doon ang 100 kg nga baboy, no, kay saan ang problem kay ang proportion naman sa corn o sa soybean ang ipaproduce. Again, magproduce tag 2,000 kg nga bahog nga gamit ang corn na ay 8.9% content ng protein o soybean nga na ay 44.4% ng crude protein. Ato siyang sagulon nga dapat ang resulting nga sagol nila nga naa sila'y 18% nga crude protein. Mo itong atong gigamit ang Pearson square. Unya sa pag mag-compute, atong na-realize, atong nahibalaan nga aron makakuha tag 18%, mauday ni ang mga mixture sa proportion ng corn and soybean meal para nga naatay 18% crude protein. So kung naay mga pangutana, so you can ring or you can have your comment on our section box or comment box sa later on, no, sa ato ang Google Meet or kaya sa atong Zoom meeting. And also you can approach me anytime and to ask more on for clarifications of this topic. So I hope you understand, and so in this a sort of summary in this topic, no, in this portion, in this section, we talk a little bit of different nutrients. No, sinabi ko ang mga nutrients, classification of nutrients, we have ganina nalimtan ako mention day ang carbohydrates as a part of nutrients, no. Ang mga nutrients that we have water is a nutrient, no. Protein is a nutrient. Yung maraming types ng protein, yung amino acids, no? And fats is a nutrients. Vitamins is considered as a nutrients. And minerals, no, is also a nutrients. And we can balance that nutrients or feeds based on maraming pwedeng gamitan sa pagbalance, no? One of that is the ration, one of that is the Pearson square we have just discussed. But we can balance the ration using the trial and error method, and we can balance our nutrients using the linear regression or linear method, and also we can balance using the applications using different computer programs, no, and maybe I could share you some of that later on, particularly in the computer programming, a little bit of that. Okay, so that is all for this Pearson square method, and hope you understand. And if you do have different problems on understanding about this topic, please do approach and ask any question about that. Approach me I am more than willing to entertain your questions regarding this topic and everything about the swine production and management. Thank you, and do subscribe to our succeeding discussions for this swine production and management answer 3 for BAT or Bachelor in Agricultural Technology students here in the Oriental State University. Thank you so much.